No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for August 16th, 2023. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I appreciate your viewership and support. If you're in the chat room, leave your comments, leave your thoughts. I will put some of the comments up on the screen. We are getting very close now to AEW All In. 80,000 plus fans, what could be the highest attended wrestling event of all time other than the WCW shows in North Korea. Those really do count, but don't count at the same time. Let's get into this Dynamite recap. We did have some developments as far as the card for All In. Let's talk about that. We had Orange Cassidy, Mr. Opener himself, the international champion, with yet another title defense against his former friend and buddy, Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler was able to dodge the orange punch right off the bat. They traded shots. They took each other down with kicks at the same time. And then they fought on the outside of the ring. Yuta gave Orange Cassidy a pile driver on the ramp, and then back in the ring, Orange Cassidy hit the beach break, but Yuta kicked out. And then after the break, Yuta applied a superplex, diving splash off the top. Orange Cassidy kicked out. Orange Cassidy started to make a comeback, but then the Blackpool Combat Club showed up to interfere. Yuta attempted to take advantage, but Orange Cassidy was still able to get the win over Yuta. Still your champion. Orange Cassidy was immediately attacked after the match by the BCC. Best Friends ran down, but they were overwhelmed. Lucha Brothers came down, and then finally Eddie Kingston, who was off doing that Japan tournament, he came down, attacked his nemesis, Claudio, and then he got on the mic and issued a challenge. At All In, Wembley Stadium, it's going to be the Best Friends, Eddie Kingston, and the Lucha Brothers against the Blackpool Combat Club and anybody else they can get in a stadium stampede match. Yes, stadium stampede at All In at Wembley Stadium. This will be a stadium stampede match with fans. The first one was in an empty arena, no fans whatsoever, and now they're going to do one in a stadium full of fans, 80,000 plus fans. Solid opener, and the Stadium Stampede match sounds good. I'm looking forward to this one. Nice addition to the All-In card. You know it's going to be a wild brawl all over the place. Kind of like Anarchy in the Arena, similar type of vibe. And that was a great match. I think it'll be really fun. And it gets a lot of people on the card. You got to get as many people on this card as possible, right? And yes, the second stadium, I can't even say it. It's hard to say. Try saying it like 5 times fast. It's not easy. Second stadium stampede match had fans at Daly's Place. We had Jim Ross talking to Kenny Omega, the sit-down interview that was hyped up. Kenny talked about his past with Don Callis, and he doesn't want Don in his head. He's trying to move on. And then he brought up Konosuke Takeshita. He's going to take away Don's cash cow. Then all of a sudden, Don Callis showed up, and it was an ambush. You had Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold attacking Omega. Takeshita hit Omega in the back with a 2x4. Oh, tough guy. They did this angle here. And then we had Adam Page at a hospital. There was an ambulance right behind him. So he must have been at a hospital. This must have been the promo that Adam Page cut in Greensboro over the weekend, and that led to all this controversy with CM Punk. Adam Page cut this promo and basically set up another match for All In. It's going to be a 6-man tag team match. Page, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi going up against CM Punk. No, I'm kidding. No CM Punk. Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold. So there you go. They got another match set up for All In, another multi-way match. But again, you got to get everybody on the card. We had Don Callis in the ring for a promo, and this was the big moment. Would Chris Jericho join the Don Callis family? Jericho brought up what happened on last week's show with all the Inner Circle guys, or excuse me, Jericho Appreciation Society guys, leaving him and basically leaving their TV time unless a couple of them can figure something out. Jericho once again said he doesn't join factions, he creates them. And his answer to Don Callis was yes. He needs to get back to his roots, win the AEW World title, so on and so forth. And Callis was thrilled, said that they were going to go celebrate and drink. But Jericho said, hold on a second, because there was a painting that was covered up with a sheet in the ring. And Jericho wanted to know what that painting was. Callis was wanting to head to the back, did not want to show Jericho the painting, but Jericho insisted on seeing it. And as it turns out, it was a painting of Don Callis holding the severed head of Chris Jericho. Callis tried to talk his way out of it, saying that it was a joke, that the artist screwed up the painting, all this stuff, and had to admit that he did not think Jericho would join him because of his massive ego. Jericho basically said that he was the reason Callis had a job in AEW. Callis is an asshole. He's ruined every relationship in his life. Callis slapped Jericho, and then Jericho was going to beat up Callis, but then Takeshita attacked Jericho, and then Will Ospreay showed up, hit Jericho in the head with a chair, and then Don Callis smashed the painting over the head of Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho was busted open. Sammy Guevara ran down to make the save for Jericho. Somebody's getting TV time here, and that's Guevara. And they shot the angle. Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay coming up at All In, which is interesting because this was like a babyface turn for Chris Jericho, but he's likely going to get booed at Wembley Stadium because it's Will Ospreay's home country. So, yeah, it is what it is. Will Ospreay, I think, beating Chris Jericho is highly likely in all likelihood. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Asks if I think Will Ospreay will turn on Callis after the match. That I don't know. I think we will see Ospreay versus Omega 3 probably at Wrestle Kingdom, and New Japan wanted that rubber match to be in Japan, and that's why it's not happening at All In. I would think that Ospreay would have some kind of alliance with Callis because that's the storyline they've been doing, and they are setting up that eventual rubber match. But it was a good angle. I like the painting deal and smashing it over the head. Good stuff here. We had a vignette with Jack Perry, the FTW champion. He is now, as far as he's concerned, Mr. Wednesday Night. And next week, he is going to retire the FTW title. Hey, I'm all for it. Let's get rid of that. It's just a prop, But would not shock me if somebody's going to oppose that next week and say, wait a minute, not so fast. But I would like to see it gone. I just feel like another ECW guy is going to show up, whether RVD comes back for a rematch or Bully Ray shows up or somebody like that. I feel like the FTW title is not going away quite yet. Maybe Hook shows up for a rematch. We had Darby Allin and Nick Wayne come into the ring for a tag team match with the Gates of Agony, but the Gates of Agony attacked them during their entrance. Remember this later. After the commercial break, Darby and Nick made their comeback. Nick hit the Wayne's World finisher, and then Darby got the win with the coffin drop. It was a standard tag team match. The most entertaining thing out of all this was we had Sting appear on the big screen, and he hyped up Wembley Stadium, and he had Prince Nana basically kidnapped for a moment, and Sting turned into Joker Sting for just a few moments and scared off Prince Nana. He should just be Joker Sting and All In. I think that would get a huge pop. Why not? Let's go full Joker Sting. Give him that red suit that he wore back in Impact. I mean, it would be fun. I say why not? We had MJF and Adam Cole. We had a vignette with them finding various ways to build a strategy against the ROH Tag Team Champions. Remember, this tag match is happening on the kickoff, which is going to be like 5 p.m. UK time, which means it's like noon or even 11. I'm not even sure when, but pretty early on Eastern time in the United States. I think definitely before 1. Like, I think it's noon, somewhere around there. Anyways, these different methods included going to Outback Steakhouse. They have really good ribs, by the way. I love Outback Steakhouse. I actually like their bread a lot, too. They were watching kangaroos fighting. MJF wanted to use a kangaroo kick to get the win, and they dressed up like Steve Irwin and gave some guy a double clothesline. And then we had a Tony Khan appearance. Virtue must have loved this segment. This had to be his all-time favorite segment of all time. Tony Khan was yelling at MJF and Adam Cole in his office. The door was closed, so we only heard Tony Khan yelling at them. They walked out of the office. MJF said Tony's going to regret it in 2024. And then Tony opened up the door with his sunglasses and took them off and asked, "What did you say?" And MJF was like, oh, nothing. And Tony went back into his office. So yeah, it was an interesting set of segments here. I was entertained. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know Virtue doesn't like the comedy, but I was entertained by it. Tony Khan, it was goofy, but I was fine with it. I was entertained. Don't really have much else to say about it. Was it effective in building up the match? I mean, depends if you like the comedy or not. I mean, it was fun, and wrestling's supposed to be fun. We had an in-ring segment with MJF and Adam Cole. So 2 segments in a row here with these guys. And Adam Cole talked about how this is going to be the most important match of his career because 9 months ago, he wasn't even sure if he was coming back. It's going to be the biggest wrestling show of all time. He loves Max, but he needs to win, and he will do anything to win the AEW title. Good promo here from Cole, but then MJF took it to the next level, as only he can. MJF talked about when he broke into wrestling, he had 2 dream opponents, Cody Rhodes and Adam Cole, baby. He talked about the first All In, how it was the biggest show outside of WWE. He contacted Cody about an opportunity, and eventually Cody did give him that chance. MJF said that it was the biggest night of his career. It turned the heads of a lot of important people, including Tony Khan. And he said that without All In, there would have never been an MJF. And then he said, you fast forward to 2023, he became a generational talent, world champion, and now it's going to be a match, biggest crowd in the history of our sport, against his dream opponent, his best friend, and there's only one thing that means more to him than that, and that is the world title, the Triple B. And he said that if Adam Cole thinks he's lying down in Wembley, he's goddamn out of his mind. He said a win will make him legendary. At this point, Aussie Open showed up, attacked them. Adam Cole and MJF fought back, went for the double clothesline, but Aussie Open were able to escape. And then Adam Cole teased super kicking MJF, but did not do it. Remember this later on in this stream. They were at a standoff. The crowd chanted, "Hug it out," and they did hug it out. And of course, you had Roderick Strong and the Kingdom watching backstage. So there's still that aspect of the storyline. MJF's promo was fantastic. Like, this was very effective in setting up the match, I thought. MJF always does a great job. And yeah, they got me intrigued. What are they going to do with this tag match? How's that going to end? What's that going to lead to? A lot of ways this can go. And that's a good thing. I definitely enjoyed the segments, including the comedy. So I know Virtue probably hated it, but he's a mark. It is what it is. We had Jeff Hardy versus Jeff Jarrett in a Texas death match. Not just a Texas death match, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match. Now, I'm a big horror fan. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was entertained by this match. Another thing that I'm guessing was not everybody's cup of tea. And this was very WWE. Like, this screamed WWE because it was basically a sponsored match. There's this Texas Chainsaw Massacre board game, and there were posters for it. It was displayed at ringside on the barricade. Like, they were promoting this heavily. Now the fight started in a concession area with the red lighting. So again, WWE, like with the lighting, trying to make it look like a horror movie. And you had weapons on the wall, and everybody got involved here. You had Team Jarrett getting involved, Satnam Singh, Karen Jarrett, Matt Hardy and his crew came in to try and help Jeff. And after the commercial break, they fought on the stage. They fought all the way back to the ring. And real quick, we got a newbie in here, Jaden, new to the channel. I review every AEW episode, Dynamite, Collision. Every week I'm on here. So thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you on more live streams. Now, back in the ring, you had tables set up. Matt Hardy and his crew were in the ring. Jeff Jarrett was surrounded. Jarrett was put through a table by Jeff with a swanton bomb. But then Jay Lethal made the save at the last second. Karen Jarrett gave Matt a low blow. Jeff tried to use a guitar on Jeff, but Jeff got it and hit Jeff with it. Talking about Jeff Hardy hitting Jeff Jarrett with the guitar. And then all of a sudden, Leatherface showed up. The Leatherface from Texas. This was like Chucky showing up in WCW or RoboCop showing up in WCW. I mean, this is completely ridiculous. Or, you know, that match with The Miz with the zombies and John Morrison got killed by the zombies. Like, this was that. Basically what it was. It was really goofy. But hey, I'm a horror fan, and, you know, it is what it is. Leatherface came out there. They had this obnoxious chainsaw sound effect, and he chased away Karen Jarrett with the chainsaw, just like a movie. I mean, it was very over the top. And then Jay Lethal hit Jeff with a hammer, just like Leatherface hit that guy with the hammer in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. And Satnam Singh chokeslammed Jeff and Jeff Hardy. He chokeslammed Hardy, and then Jeff Jarrett pinned Jeff Hardy to win the match in Tennessee, in Nashville. Jeff got the win in his hometown, and he was awarded a Leatherface championship. So there you go. This Sunday, I have to do a cheap plug here, everybody, for those of you that might not be aware of this, but this coming Sunday night is the 250th edition of the No DQ Review. We are going to have a rotating panel. All of the topics and questions will be from Super Chats, so send them in this Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And I'm hopeful that Big G, our own Big G, will acknowledge the new Leatherface World Champion, Jeff Jarrett. That should be a title defended, not the FTW title, but the Leatherface Championship should be defended by Jeff Jarrett every week. He should be like Orange Cassidy and open up every Dynamite and successfully defend that Leatherface Championship and have Leatherface part of Team Jarrett. I say go all the way with it. They got to make that a title now. So anyways, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it was bad. It was what it was. It was very over the top. It was goofy, but it made for an entertaining segment. Was it a bit of a train wreck? Yes, it was. But I personally got entertainment out of it. And you know what? People tuning in, they might have been intrigued by it. So time will tell. If it brings in new viewers, that's a positive. If people got tuned out, then not so positive. But I have a feeling it's not going to really make a difference one way or another. The people that hated it are still not going to watch AEW, and the people that liked it might give AEW a chance. Who knows? I don't think it's really going to persuade too many people to change their opinion on AEW one way or another. But I was entertained. We had Britt Baker wearing her 2018 All-In ring jacket going up against the Bunny. There was a handshake, but then it quickly escalated, shoving match. They traded shots back and forth. Penelope Ford provided a distraction, but Britt was able to make a comeback, and then Ford took Britt's glove, but that did not matter anyways. Britt Baker was able to pick up the win with the curb stomp. Remember that for later in this stream, the curb stomp. We had the Acclaimed come into the ring for a match against two random guys. But as Max Caster was doing his rap, the lights went out. And when they came back on, the House of Black was in the ring. They attacked the Acclaimed, and Max Caster was busted open. Now, earlier, Chris Jericho was busted open. So you had two angles, two beatdown angles where somebody was busted open. I mean, I have a thought on this, which I'll get to in just a few moments. Buddy Matthews did the curb stomp to Caster, by the way, which Britt Baker had just done in the previous match, did a curb stomp, and then you had another curb stomp in this angle. Somebody needs to not repeat the same angle. Like when you have two bleeding segments, two curb stomp segments, and then there was another duplicate in this final segment, which I'll get to here in just a moment. We had our main event, but before we get to that, Walter Cruz, the Rage of Wrestling, sent in a $5 super chat. Another cheap plug for the No DQ Review 250. He said, tune in this Sunday for review number 250 and super chat some topics, or else I'll have Leatherface visit you when he's done with Karen. Share this video. I appreciate that, Walter. And yes, make sure you guys do it, or I'll have Freddy Krueger haunt your dreams and even have Leatherface haunt your dreams as well. We had our main event, the Young Bucks versus the Guns, which, I mean, did anybody think that the Guns had any chance in hell of winning this match when the Young Bucks are going up against FTR at Wembley Stadium? I mean, come on. So the Young Bucks, guess what happened here? The Guns were making their entrance, and the Young Bucks attacked them on the stage. So another duplicate. Earlier in the show, we had the duplicate with the attack by the entrance when the Gates of Agony attacked Darby and Nick Wayne. So they did another repeat angle on one show. There were like 4 of them, 4 times where there were repeat angles. The Guns did get in some offense. You have to make it competitive. It's the main event, right? And they hit the 310 to Yuma, but Nick Jackson broke it up. And then the Guns tried to cheat, but the Bucks were able to reverse the momentum, and they actually cheated to win the match. So the Guns had that plan, and it backfired on them. Young Bucks win, and then they were attacked by the Bullet Club Gold right after the match. And then they took a chair. They were going to try to injure Matt's bicep, which was hurt earlier this year. But FTR made the save. And then the final angle here, the Bucks had their back turned, just like MJF had his back turned to Adam Cole, and FTR teased the Shatter Machine. So yes, they duplicated this angle as well. And then, of course, they didn't do it. Just like earlier, Cole did not do it to MJF, and everything's okay. Held up the title, just like MJF held up the title earlier. So, yeah, a bit. I mean, I was entertained by the show, but here's the thing. To quote Jeff Meacham, this is the problem when you waited so long to start really building up all in. Like this show, they finally put the foot on the gas as far as building up the card. But because of that, they crammed so much into 2 hours, and I'm not sure who put all this together, if it was Tony Khan or if he had some help. But how do you not look at all this that you're putting together and not say, hey, wait a minute, we're duplicating things here. We're having multiple angles with people bleeding, multiple angles with people being jumped during their entrance, multiple angles where 2 acts are friends and 1 act is teasing that they're going to attack the other, but they don't. Multiple curb stomps. Like, somebody's got to be looking at this and realizing that they got to try to do some different things. And you know what? If you had built up things over the course of a month, maybe you could have spread this out a little bit, did a bleeding angle 1 week, and then a month later do another bleeding angle for another match. But yeah, I just felt like they were cramming too much into this show. The buildup is good. All in, it's a solid card. Like I do think it's going to be a great show. And I think it has a lot of potential to be one of the best shows in wrestling history. But there are some issues too. And a lot of these matches feel very rushed and thrown together. And it's almost like Tony Khan is relying on the work rate to carry this show. Like, we're going to throw Ospreay out there. We're going to put Omega in there with Bullet Club Gold. They'll go out there for 25 minutes and the crowd will chant, "This is awesome." He's just going to rely on that. I mean, I think that's basically what he's doing here. I mean, they really should have been building some strong storylines for several months now, leading into All In. Like Adam Cole and MJF, they've done a pretty good job with building that up. Like they've spent a lot of time on that, and it's been a fairly slow process over the past month or so. That has been done well. The rest of the card, for the most part, feels very rushed and thrown together. Now, Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, do you think Bullet Club Gold is the new Don Callis family? Yeah, I mean, I would expect that to be the case. And Don Callis has his own faction right now, and it looks like Chris Jericho is making a babyface turn, which is probably for the best. You know, Jericho doesn't want to give up Judas, so he might as well be a babyface at this point. And, you know, have one more run before he wraps up his career. I mean, I don't even know how many years Jericho's going to keep going, but, you know, one would think that this might be the last big run for him as a babyface. And Rage of Wrestling sent in a $2 super chat. That's Walter Cruz. Thank you. And thank you, Building Nexus. Says, duplicate Dynamite today. What the hell was that about? Jeez. Again, it's just a matter of Tony Khan throwing the show together. And I don't know if he has somebody who's looking over whatever he puts together, if he writes a script for the show. Like whatever Tony Khan's doing, like does he have somebody who's looking over it and saying, hey, wait a minute, we're doing this twice in one show. Let's try something else. Like if he doesn't have that person, I think he really needs one. And if he does, then maybe they need somebody else. All in all, like I said, I was very entertained by the show. Like it was a very good show. Definitely not perfect though. I'm giving it a B. Solid show. Good entertaining Dynamite. But it did feel a little bit too much at times. And, you know, like they were trying to throw too many things out there because somebody realized, hey, wait a minute, we got a pay-per-view in like 11 days. We really need to get this card set up. Really, they should have had this card pretty much set up and confirmed like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Anyways, that's all I have to say about Dynamite. I do want to note that next Wednesday night, I will not be recapping Dynamite because I have a prior commitment. But the Jeff Meacham Network, I believe, will be filling in with a watch along, or at the very least, Jeff will be doing a talk wrestling. They got something planned that'll go up on the No DQ YouTube channel. So no Dynamite recap next week, but I will be doing Collision on Saturday. Make sure you guys tune in for that. And we got the No DQ review, episode 250. And next week, we got our predictions for the 3 big events coming up: All In London, Wembley Stadium, WWE Payback, and All Out. Yes, All Out. Like All Out is, can you believe that All Out is coming up? And they got like 2 matches announced for it. I mean, I suspect that whatever happens at All In, I think that there will be several matches set up from whatever happens at All In. But still, All Out is one of their big shows, and it just completely feels like an afterthought at this point, which is unfortunate. But, you know, that's what happens when you put 2 pay-per-views a week apart and charge $50 for it. All the more reason why they should have been hyping All In sooner and maybe even All Out and having full cards for both at least a full month before the shows. Just saying. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much again. Much love and appreciation. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.